You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 FM and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Memorial Tower right here in absolutely gorgeous Northport, Florida. And I am just so thankful that I get to say gorgeous Northport, Florida. The cooler weather has kind of dissipated, and we've had some beautiful weekends. I'm going to have a special guest on this Friday. I want to bring that up now, and at the end of the show, I'm going to have Bert from over at the, oh my gosh, I wanted to get it right, Twisted Fork, and the owner at Twisted Fork, and he's going to get on here and talk a little bit about some events that he's had, and also the restaurant style, and the effects that COVID has played into his opening. So Bert is a fantastic guy. If you've ever been to his location, please go out and enjoy yourself. It's over on next to Harley Davidson on 776. But that's going to be a really special show, and I'm looking forward to having Bert on. But Mike Fear, I think we're taking the fear out of dealing with the Public Works Department in Northport, because Mike Fear is absolutely fantastic at what he does. So, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, Mike Fear. Formerly, actually, communications. I worked in communications for the city of Northport. Still do a little bit. I'm actually going to be transitioning positions here in a little bit. So what I do is I help manage the city's social media, websites, news interviews, specifically focus on public works most of the time. But actually starting, I'm currently doing a little bit of both positions, but starting the next couple of months, I'll be transitioning to operations support administrator for the city of Northport Public Works. And I'll handle all of our asset management, our software that basically runs our day-to-day, looking to try to find efficiencies and data that we use for budgets. So just a kind of a variety of minor IT stuff in the department. So John, probably in a couple months, we'll be bringing on somebody new, and me and that new person will have to jump on here with you. And so I'll make sure they'll have a good time on here too.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to that. And congratulations too.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's nice to, within the city, kind of jump through the ranks, right?
Yeah. It was a good opportunity in this department. I love being in the Public Works Department. Same building. I did switch offices. The person that was in this position retired, so this office was available. So I took it, a little bigger office, and but same building. You know, working with the same people, so it was a good fit.
Well, and I want to say that we had one person already pop up, and he said, "Hey, from Cape Coral." So Corey, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. There you go. Go Buckeyes, of course, absolutely. So we're any questions that you have, if you're listening on Facebook, feel free to type them in as we go. They will pop up on screen, and we can answer those questions as we go. So if you're listening on the radio, please go back and listen at Real Talk 97.5 FM and share this information. The more that we get this information out, the more at ease people feel about utilizing the services of Northport. We're going to talk probably a little bit about the app too. So you want to tell us anything that is new that's going on out there, Mike?
Well, you know, we were talking a little bit about just career changes there. So one thing I did want to mention to people is we do have, I just made a social media post about this, I think on Friday. We do have several positions in the city open right now that if somebody's out there listening, watching on Facebook, they're looking for a career. I mean, we've got anything from accountants to actually my position, talking with you, is still, people can apply for that on the city's website. Anything from a lifeguard to a mechanic. Our friend Brad Orlando recently retired. Yep. That position is actually reopened. So if you're a mechanic, you want to be a lifeguard, camp counselor, you want to do this kind of news, radio interviews, there's definitely opportunities for you, and all that's on the city's website. You go on the website, you look for employment, bottom left corner, and it's all on there.
Well, and I'll say this: congratulations to Brad Orlando for his retirement, but you are sorely going to be missed. for sure. What an asset he was to the city of Northport. Great mechanic. Great mechanic.
Yeah, over 30 years with the city. I think it was like 35 years or something like that. And yeah, it will definitely be missed.
Yeah. So we still have some high quality guys within the mechanical department, correct?
Correct. We've got probably, I'd say, 7 to 8 mechanics right now. A welder that works closely with the mechanics as well. And I mean, they get, I know we've talked about this before, but for anybody new that's listening, in Public Works, we've got a fleet management division. They maintain and fix any vehicles, any equipment in the city. So that includes anything from maybe a police four-wheeler to a weed eater to a garbage truck, a police car, fire truck. It's a wide variety of skills that they have to have. Dump trucks, things like that. They stay busy. I mean, not only working in our fleet building, but also they get calls out in the middle of the day. They got to go out and fix let's just say a garbage truck's stopped in the middle of the road. They got to stop what they're doing, go out there and get that fixed or make sure it gets taken care of.
And let's talk a little bit, highlight the app too, because I think that you've probably got some good data on that now that you could probably share on the success of the app.
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, we've got a couple thousand users easily. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but we get probably just in Public Works alone. Now you got to think we use this app. It's called the North Report app is what John's referencing. North Report, you can find that in your app store. It's a free app to download. Basically what it is I know John has used it. You can, use your phone, take a picture of an issue that you see around the city. Maybe there's trees on your street from an empty lot that are hanging into the roadway. If you take a picture, let us know where that's at. You can put in all the info, put in the street, put in the address, and we'll put in a work order and get that fixed. So as soon as you hit save, you hit submit, that information goes directly to our customer service staff here at Public Works, and they'll make sure it gets taken care of. Issues like potholes, I think John's used it for that before. Maybe you need a bulk pickup. Now, bulk pickups are a little bit specific. I would recommend if you've got that, call Public Works, 941-240-8050. But issues like tree trimming, maybe even a street light issue, potholes are a great one to use. Illegal dumping, we get a lot of legal dumping requests through the app. And those are great things. It goes right to us, and the work gets taken care of.
Well, and the ease of use for the end user, it's amazing how easy it is, and how you guys actually respond extremely well to using this app, because you get responses back, you get validation that you turned in a complaint, and then you get validation that it got repaired. And where I was most, I just was highly impressed that within about 24 to 48 hours, the problem was resolved. And that's pretty good. And I know within the first 24 hours, they went out and used fluorescent orange paint to highlight the potholes. And I can't even begin to tell you, just having that saved a lot of people from, I think, doing more damage to the pothole and to the cars.
Yeah, and you can see right there the app. I mean, it's as simple as you pull up the app, hit the report issue, and that you can start one, by clicking on that. And it, we try to respond to everyone within 24 hours. If you submit it in the morning, we may respond to you by the end of the day. We always say by 24 hours though, just to be safe. Now, sometimes a pothole is a little bit easier to fix than maybe like a drainage issue. So I always like to let people know that, there's certain issues that are easy to take care of pretty quickly, and other ones are more long-term. So always keep that in mind. But like you said, if you put it in, we're going to have, one of our planner schedulers, the guys that we got 2 planner schedulers in Public Works, and their job is they take in all the work orders that we get throughout the city. They go out, investigate them, see who needs to do the work, see what type of work that needs done. And in that case, John, what you're probably talking about, it was probably one of those planner schedulers that went and marked that. Basically, they marked it to make sure to try to keep people safe before it got fixed in that meantime. So,
and that's impressive. I mean, when I drove that intersection and I drive it every day. So having the guys go out and mark those, it even highlighted it for me, and I knew they were there, and it was just I thought it was very impressive that we're all over it like that, and I think the app really helps streamline that because the ease of use and the less phone calls coming in to the city. You guys get bombarded with phone calls no matter what, but having the app really just kind of eliminates a lot of that process and puts it into the system quicker. Isn't it a quicker response then for somebody to look it up and say, hey, I appreciate the phone call, but it's already here?
Yeah, we do get that sometimes. Maybe somebody entered in the app, or we've had them before where somebody calls us and we get a pothole request, through the app. So one of the key things is, you're looking there on the screen is the ability to add photos, because that is helpful. I mean, you'd be shocked at how many times, we get a request on a street, but it is helpful to know exactly where somebody's talking about. And the photo can help because, sometimes we'll see, an address on a house that will help us identify where it's at. You can tell in the background that it's in front of this business, it's in front of this place. And, that kind of context definitely helps. And what we'll do a lot of times is we'll actually take the photos that residents submit and attach them to the work order. So that helps our staff as they go out there, they're looking at the same thing we are.
Fantastic. And your staff has to feel pretty positive about the end result too. Probably makes their job easier.
I think so. I mean, again, our guys that are out there investigating this, they're going out there with the tablet. So they're pulling up the photos. They don't have to search around for something when they can see, exactly what they're looking for. Because sometimes if we say, there's trees that need trimmed and there's a long street that they're investigating, that can be kind of hard to know exactly where somebody means if they just call it on the phone.
Right.
But in a picture, they can look and they're looking for the exact same thing, and that's definitely helpful.
Nice. And this can be used for just about anything out there that you see a problem with it within the city, including damage at city parks, anything like that. It really highlights the things that you guys really want to get out there and respond to quickly. I noticed the other day that there were city workers out picking up trash on Toledo Blade, and I very rarely, and I say this because I think most people in our city respect our city enough that they don't throw a lot of trash out of their window. Happens on occasion. I'll give that, but they were out there and they were working. And the only thing I could think of was if you see anything like that, you could actually highlight that. There's trucks going down the road all the time. We're in a heavy construction zone now. If you see debris thrown out, even out on 75, it's I've seen those types of things on 75. Now, you guys aren't going to send a lot of city workers out there, but you can get some notification out much quicker that way, couldn't you?
Yeah, we don't pick up anything on there, but it's definitely one of those things where we get requests sometimes on issues on 41, issues on 75 that are not necessarily issues on private property.
Yeah,
not something the city does. However, we'll either pass it to FDOT, we'll pass it to code enforcement.
Right.
You may even get a response that will say, "Hey, this is not us, but we recommend calling FPL at this phone number." Because we actually get a lot with streetlights that are, believe it or not, are not the city. It's actually, FPL that maintains it.
So that's a good segue right there, Mike, because I think you and I have talked about traffic lights because I have concerns about one that we have on Toledo Blade and Plantation. And there's a lot of people there that are like myself who are concerned about that intersection. But can you explain that intersection for one? Because I know you highlighted that for me, and talk about what it takes to fix a traffic light and get that all corrected.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key thing for people to remember on a lot of traffic signals, I mean, really, when you're not in local government, these are things before I was here that I just didn't understand or didn't think about.
Yep.
Now that I've been here, I understand there's just a lot of like regulations and stuff. That's part of the reason things take longer with government, is because there is a lot of things that you have to follow, a lot of regulations you have to go through, and that includes things with like, adjusting traffic signal timing, adjusting speed limit is not just something that we can just change at the drop of a hat. Studies have to be done, whether it be speed limit, whether it be traffic signal change, adjusting that. There's a lot of things that have to be done, which is what makes it take a long time. But also, that's just not something, until I was involved in local government, I would have ever thought. I would have just said, hey, why can't we just make this longer? Why can't we make this green light longer? Well, there's a lot that goes into that. That's more than just, Public Works saying, hey, it's going to be 8 seconds. There's a lot of state regulations that have to be followed.
And do you find that people are asking more questions now? We just went through a year of COVID, which a lot of people were, I think, more attentive than ever before on things. And also we've had time, I think, to listen more. Our shows on WKDW are kind of geared around all the local stuff that's happening here. And I think we're pushing out some really valuable information, and you guys are graceful enough to come on and really answer questions and explain things. Do you think that the citizens overall are picking up on these things?
Oh, absolutely. I think, we've made great strides in anything from, recycling education to basic stuff. I mean, you would be shocked, for example, of, how many times I'll see somebody post something, maybe just a local Facebook group, and one of the responses will be something along the lines of, hey, put in this issue in the North Report app, and they'll go out and fix it. It just happened for me, a couple of weeks ago. So sometimes, it's not even that the city is answering the questions. It's residents that have used these apps, like yourself, that are sharing that info. And, we've definitely made progress with things like social media. The city, we push out a ton of content through social media. I just, my personal opinion, but I feel like the city is very transparent on our projects that are going on. Most of the information you can find on our website. You can see some of the apps that the city uses there on the city website. We've got anything from Twitter to Instagram to Facebook to YouTube. If you go up slightly on the page there, I'll tell you a little bit about Recycle Coach. This is another app that we use. And this one, I'll say it's kind of incredible how many of our residents are using this on a weekly basis. So basically, Recycle Coach, it's a free app. You can access it by searching Recycle Coach. You can also access it through our North Report app. Basically, what it is you enter your address wherever you live. Say you live on Music Lane, you put in your address on Music Lane, and it will pull up our calendar. So for everybody that's listening, if you live in Northport, our recycling schedule rotates back and forth each week. So we pick up your cardboard one week, the next week we pick up your plastics. And this app is cool because it will actually send you a reminder every week. It sends you a little pop-up to say, hey, put out your blue lid tote this week. It'll remind you that, let's just say we get people that forget to set out their garbage. It'll send you an email. It'll send you a little push notification every week. And, interactions, John, I'll tell you, interaction would be an email that's sent out, a push notification that's sent out. So far in the city, this is a free app. It was actually free to the city to use so far. We've had like hundreds of thousands of interactions. I'm going to say like 300,000 plus interactions in the city. And it's just, again, a lot of times I see people ask questions about recycling, and I see a ton of people reply, say, hey, have you downloaded Recycle Coach? It helped me a lot. So there's definitely a lot of good resources. And this is one that actually, to this point, has not cost the city any money.
I'm just signing up. So if I can do it while interviewing, you can download this. It's very simple to do. and it's going to give you great information. And I love the fact that we talk about these things because the end user is the city customer, the city residents, and anything that we can do to make things simpler for them. We've talked in great depth about uh, different types of products that go into the recycle bins. Um, I've seen a lot of people forget which trash or which recycle bin goes out. So just
Yeah.
having those reminders is a great asset for the community.
It is, and especially, one of the reasons because we have that rotating recycling.
Yep.
It's so used here in Northport, but it's got an entire calendar you can pull up. We've even got events like our Hazardous Waste Day that'll be coming up this March that people can use. I think that's gonna. Let me check the calendar here, but that's gonna be March 13th. We always do that yearly. Last year it was canceled. That was right when COVID came out. Right when it first kind of hit and it was canceled, but that's going to be again this year, March 13th. So that's a big event here in Northport, that hazardous waste event.
Nice. And you talk about, I know that we've had some setbacks with COVID, but I still think we've forged ahead through COVID, getting information out, trying to educate. But can you explain in a normal year, hopefully 21 will turn the corner for us. But can you explain what Public Works does to enhance the communication with the community?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for us is our customer service is here 8 to 5, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. every day. We do, for example, this past year, we sent out brand new solid waste guides to every home in the city. Solid waste guide is like the information, total information about all things solid waste. We sent that out to every house. We try to get out information quarterly. The city does. That's the North Report newsletter. I think that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks if you haven't gotten it yet. And Public Works makes sure, and all city departments make sure we put information on there. The city, we use social media. Obviously, we use the Nextdoor app, which is a fairly new one we started using.
Okay.
All of our commission meetings are live streamed on YouTube, live streamed on our website. We even use that North Report app. We can send push notifications. We try not to abuse that, but we will do it occasionally for big events. And there's a news section on our website that basically everything is on there. There are certain things that I put on the website that I don't put on social media just because I try to leave social media for the issues that affect the most people. Every road closure in the city on the city's website. So that's just a great thing, maybe to check it every couple of days, check the news section on our website, and you will, it's got the latest info.
Well, and the website, you guys work really hard at the website, keeping up to date and user friendly on that side of it too. But we don't have a local TV station that covers a lot of these events. We do try to do that within the radio station at WKDW, but I like the fact that, and I'm not a big push notice guy. Okay, I'm glad that you said you're not going to inundate people, but what we really need in this community is the ability to push those notifications out of these special events or the emergency type situations that are out there, because we don't have that on a local level like you do at some of these bigger cities that have 2 or 3 TV stations that can kind of chime in whenever they need to. We're kind of different in that regard, that we have 70,000 plus people here, and we're still limited on TV range, I guess. We're kind of in that tweener stage. We get the Sarasota, we get the Northport, or the Fort Myers location. But, it's nice that you guys don't take advantage of pushing information out, but you're conscientious of what type of information the public needs to hear so they could be in an event or be prepared for an emergency situation. And that's what you're talking about, right? And how to use it.
Absolutely. We're very cognizant of all the different platforms we're using. You know, we think through every single post is thought through as far as to how it affects even our future posts. Just like you said, you know, people don't want to get 20 push notifications a day. We save those for big things, whether it be like an important COVID update, maybe hurricane info, maybe, hey, just a reminder, our big Halloween trick or treat event is tomorrow. Different things like that. We try to save them. But, you know, for example, we think through everything that we post. For example, there's a reason I don't post every road closure on the city's Facebook. For one, you know, a lot of people don't know, but Facebook has an algorithm that's pretty tough to handle. You've got to, you know, kind of really watch what you're posting. For example, if we have 25,000 Facebook fans, an average post will not go out to 25,000 people. It may go out to 2,000 people. So, but the more engaging that a post gets, the more Facebook will show it to more people. They want their newsfeed to be the most relevant, engaging content that it can be. So, for example, I know that a random road closure out kind of where there's very few homes, the average person is not going to engage nor care about that post. So I try to save the most important information for our big channels and then use things like our website where, you know, you can go on at any time, and every road closure that I post on the website, as well as I actually send it out to a lot of local officials, and as well as even things like Sarasota County's transportation knows about all of our road closures, so they can adjust the school bus routes.
Well, and I like what we talked about earlier. We talked a little bit about some of the regulations that are placed by the state on some of the lighting, you know, speed limit changes. We've got some restrictions, self-imposed, so to speak, on how we get information out. And it's not to limit what we're getting out. It's just to make it more creatively accessible for people on a higher scale, right? So if you have a road closure, or if you want to check out road closures, hit the city website, www.cityofnorthport.com, and you can check out not just the road closures, but really anything else that's going on. And that's really should be your center focus for the city on really diving in to capture information. Hit the Facebook page. You guys do a great job there too of trying to get information out and really encourage people to one, use the apps, to, you know, be ready for certain events that are coming up. But I get the gist on setting these pages up differently than you do the website. It's sort of like the show. If we just talked about road closures, it's not effective. We're talking about an abundance of information that and services that you guys provide. Let's shift into some of the services that the Public Works Department is spearheading. I know we got trash. We've got the water treatment plant, which I don't know that we've really engaged too much yet on this show, and I think we should talk about our water treatment plants more.
That's actually utilities, John.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, different division. Now, you know, one thing we do work closely with them. You know, one thing I was going to bring up is our water control structure, which is right by the water treatment plant. We just had a big ribbon cutting last week for this. It's a new water control structure, water control structure 106. It's on the Cocoa Plum, which is right off of Northport Boulevard for everybody listening. That is actually, it was a $2.5 million project to get that new water control structure, an important one. And we just had a ribbon cutting for that. All those pictures are on the city's social media. You can check it out. But, you know, again, that's something, you know, I think, you know, you're in the same boat as me, but I'm from the Midwest, so I didn't grow up with water control structures. We grew up with cornfields, you know? So, you know, I just don't think we have a lot of people that move in to Southwest Florida, Northport, and it is something cool to see. And the city has, I think, like 60 some structures as a whole throughout it. We got like 80 some miles of waterways. which is more than Venice, Italy. Venice, Italy, known for their waterways, has 20 some. So, I mean, this is a waterway city. It's very important, and the city of Public Works, we put a priority on keeping those structures in good shape.
And see, we've talked about our waterways enough on the show. I thought, and maybe more people do the same as I do. I thought that they were together, and so this is great. This is one more educational piece that goes out that makes people understand that yes, while you partner on some of these things and you share ideas back and forth, they're two different visions.
They are. So, yeah, this is a tough one because, I think they're in monopoly. But other than that, an average person that doesn't work for Public Works probably doesn't think about Public Works a lot or utilities. So here's the difference. I know when I applied for my job, I had to research what Public Works was. So here's kind of the gist of it. Public Works, we take care of solid waste. We take care of the roads, drainage. We maintain our waterways. We take care of fleet, like I said earlier, maintenance, engineering projects, so road design, road construction, as well as road repair. Utilities focuses mainly on wastewater treatment plant, water treatment plant for like drinking water. So think of them specifically as drinking water, wastewater. Public Works is more of waterways, drainage, than a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, utilities does all that, and we take care of a lot of the roads, drainage, things like that.
All right. Well, listen, it's a great definition of the two, and I'm going to contact the utilities department and get them scheduled on a show because I think they need to be included in too because there's been some changes within the water treatment plants.
Yeah, I think they haven't launched it yet. They've got a new one going up.
Yep.
Out more towards West Villages, and I can help you get that. If you remind me next time, John, I'll get you set up with their contact, which actually I think we've had on before. We had on Coco around Christmas time.
Right, we did.
Utilities and social services, but I think we focused more on social services around Christmas time for with the work they were doing. So we can bring her on and talk about that. And there's the picture of the new water control structure I was talking about.
Where's that one's right behind Winn-Dixie, right?
Yep, Winn-Dixie, Northport Boulevard, right across from the Dallas White Park near there. Or hold on, no, that's not right. It's not Dallas. Yeah, it's close, but not right close to it. There's a fire department over there, right by the skate park.
Right.
Yep.
So you're not that far. That's not even a tenth of a mile over to Dallas White. So in general, it's a good location because you got tell people the value of that change out compared to the old structure that was there.
Well, the old structure would have been 60 years old when the city was initially incorporated. You're talking. I just saw something today in the paper article about it that reminded me that I think the metal pilings that go down into the ground with the old structure were 15 feet deep. These new ones are 35 feet deep, something along those lines. You don't quote me on the exact numbers, but it's over 30 feet deep. And talking about stainless steel, everything. Those gates on that structure, people can open, close. Our staff can open and close with the phone. So, in the middle of a hurricane, it's a little dangerous. They need to adjust the gates. They can actually do that from a phone. There you can see, we actually live stream the ribbon cutting. So if anybody wants to go on, they could watch that later. And there's the mayor's remarks that she made at the ribbon cutting.
Fantastic. And we do a lot of live streaming now because of COVID. I think we were doing it before, but I think we've gotten more proficient at doing things like that now, just because of COVID and the kind of the restrictions that we have. A lot of these things that are outside, though, we've drawn some decent crowds still, correct?
I think, I know Parks has had several events. I haven't personally been at them, so I can't really vouch. I haven't heard otherwise. But, for example, that ribbon cutting, we just kept that to a small few people, didn't really promote that one too much. But I know Parks has had some events that went well.
Awesome. Awesome. What are some of the other highlights that you got going on out there right now?
Actually, that right there, if you go back up to the FPL right there with those trucks, that's one thing I had mentioned or written down that I wanted to mention is the FPL right now, some of our major kind of roads in the city, they're replacing utility poles. So be careful when you're driving on Tropicare, North Biscayne, Price Boulevard. They've been working the last several weeks. You may have seen that, John.
Yep.
They're replacing a lot of those poles that should be a little bit more, have a little bit more strength for, hurricane season, things like that. And this is a good time to do it. So you may see those out there, and, on a 2-lane road like Price or like a North Biscayne, just, be careful because they're working out there every day.
You see the difference in the size of the poles right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
In that picture. So
yeah. And this one is actually, I think they did a bunch off San Mateo. I think that's where that picture's off of, but they did a bunch off there a few months back.
Right. And we've got something going in out in the estates that we talked about briefly. And that's some internet, right?
Yeah, Frontier, they've been installing. They're still out there working. They're installing a bunch of fiber optic out along Tropicare. So from Tropicare, from Van Camp to Sumter, they have finished along Tropicare, and now they are working and installing fiber optic on the side streets. Now, the one thing I've been telling people, I don't think the service is available to anyone yet. The one thing we've heard is that Frontier has said that, just because the optics installed, they can still take 4 to 6 months after installation before the service is available. So we had an issue the other day where Frontier put out a sign that said the service was available. Not necessarily true. We had residents that were calling in saying, hey, there's a sign popped up. Is it ready? And then the people that were answering the phones, not based in Florida, you don't know where they're at. They had no clue that street wasn't even on their radar yet.
Right.
So ask people, be patient. The Frontier staff has informed us that the people that put up the marketing signs are not the same people that are installing the fiber optic. So it's not all the way ready yet. It was just a little miscommunication on their part, but it's coming. They're doing the work. We're still, approving the permits, and they've made a lot of progress in the last 6 months. So.
Well, and anybody who lives out in the estates, and I've sold enough out there, and it's almost a negative to buy out there years ago because you didn't even have a dream of getting better service. You're just around the corner. It's going to happen. I'm sure when it does, just about everybody out in the estates is going to go to fiber optics, and that's why they're doing it.
Oh yeah, there's a need. I mean, that's something we've heard since I've been here.
Right.
On social media is the need for that out there. So, and even though with one of the things I think I read was with COVID, the need for internet for students in the area.
Yep.
So I definitely think, it sounds like Frontier found out it made sense for them from a business perspective. And, of course, there's a lot of people out there, and there's probably only going to be more and more people out there over the years. So
I was going to say that it's a rooftop thing, and if you haven't driven out into the estates lately, and if you haven't driven Northport, we're blowing up. The rooftops are coming. They're coming here in droves, and we're not slowing down. It's a busy time. And we're getting a lot of people from up north, and things are changing. I bring this up because I got a notification today that LTM down in Port Charlotte is closing their doors, and I bring that up to highlight that they're closing. So if you want to go shop, you better do it now. But the other side of that is we're changing. We've been forced to change now because of COVID, and the shopping is changing. Everything is going more internet based. These companies that are pushing internet, like Frontier, they're really trying to focus in on getting these services out because there's end users available, and the rooftops are there now to support it. on top of the fact that I think this kind of threw everybody into a different mindset. What may have been a 5 to 7 year plan, I think ended up being a 2 year plan for a lot of companies out there because of COVID and because everybody during this time frame has learned how to use the internet. Whether you're young and you were born, working the iPhone and the iPad like my granddaughter and could, tell me how to use it at age 2, or now that you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s and you were hesitant to use it before, you found it to be the go-to source. Are you finding that to be the case with a lot of people that maybe are using the app now, maybe that are online or asking questions that call into the city?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I would say surprised me the most, John, is just the fact that we see in these Facebook groups all the replies that how many people are using Recycle Coach. That always kind of surprises me of it, just how widespread it is, and for an app that we didn't pay anything for. The one thing I'll say about Frontier to add is, again, the city doesn't install internet. I like to remind people that it's not what the city does. However, we have, we're trying to, our engineers here at Public Works are working with Frontier to try to get those permits approved quickly, as quickly as possible, because we know it's such a need that, we're trying to work closely with them and get that taken care of.
What are some of the big projects going on out in the West Village area? Are we doing any road structures that are projecting any road structures soon out there?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't had any sent to me yet. I know there's definitely been some talk about some things that I'm not 100% even aware of to even really speak on. Not educated enough on it yet. We did install the traffic signal out there, or FDOT did, but City of Northport worked with them at West Villages Parkway, which is really, I was actually out there this weekend, and it had been probably a month or so since I've been out there, and it's like growing like crazy.
Yeah, it's booming.
That traffic signal was put out there. I know from not necessarily a traffic perspective, but just from a garbage and recycling perspective, we're adding new homes out there, every week. It's that area. We had to dedicate almost an entire day to just the West Villages area for solid waste collection. So they're all pretty much Monday.
And that's a big change from a normal process, right? That you guys had maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I think we made the change maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, maybe close to a year ago. But prior to that, we had maybe a 2 to 4 routes. I don't know off the top of my head how many routes we had out there. But we had to make a change because it was growing so quickly to basically dedicate pretty much the majority of our Monday route to the West Villages area.
The West Village is an important part of city dynamics. It adds a lot of new culture into our town that we didn't have before. Things are changing, ever changing out there. Do you see services maybe changing because it's growing at leaps and bounds now, and you're already designated one day. Do you see that area at some point maybe having to go to a 2-day pickup?
I don't know. I'd say it's definitely possible. Or maybe split out over 2 days. It's definitely possible. I know, other services. I think I had seen. I know utilities built their plant closer out there. I know it was something police and fire had talked about as well as increasing services out there to keep up with the growth. And
I think that's coming.
Yeah. But with us at Public Works now, we don't do, those are all private roads.
Right.
So we don't deal with the roadway out there or anything like that. We're primarily solid waste only out there. And it's definitely affected our operation. It's growing so fast. We're adding new addresses to pick up, it seems like every week.
Right. Didn't we just get trucks?
I think we got a couple. I think we added an extra claw truck. maybe a new, I'm not 100% sure, maybe a new box truck. Box truck we use for things like delivering totes, which is, again, out in that Welland Park, West Villages area. That's how we know that we're servicing so many more is they call us, we have to deliver the new totes. And that's, we got one guy, that's his job. He's delivering new totes, swapping out sizes, repairing totes, and that's a busy job.
The tote guy.
Yeah, it's a busy, tough job. And that's not slowing down anytime soon.
No, and it's not going to. It's that whole area is booming. I've got city commissioners coming on in the next few months, and I'm sure they're going to highlight some things that are happening out there and things that are going to change. I've got this the city of Northport, the police department. I've got them coming back on. They've taken a few months off because he had a little one and COVID changes, so we let him slide. I just ran into him, so we're going to have him back and talk about the police department. It's just that we have so many different avenues that we can talk about in within the city of Northport, and yet you guys still kind of all coordinate on some of these bigger events together. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys coordinate? You muted. There you go.
There we go. So for example, I'm in charge of the rodeo, the Public Works Rodeo every year. It's a big event here in the city of Northport. This year it's actually got canceled, unfortunately. May get rescheduled at a later date. We'll let everybody know if that's the case. As of now, there has been no date. But yeah, that's a big planning process. It's something we start months in advance. Nothing super time intensive months in advance, but it's more of just, reaching out to make sure we've got, utilities participating, Parks and Rec is participating, make sure we have police vehicles here to show off for those that have never been, our Public Works Rodeo. It's an annual event. We like to, it's not your horse and cowboy rodeo. It's more like a road-EO, like a big truck event. If you're a kid that likes big trucks, this is an awesome event for them. And we've got everything from bulldozers out here to dump trucks to tractors and police cars, and even a helicopter comes in from Sarasota County. That it's just awesome event. And we coordinate again. Sarasota County Air One, we coordinate with them. We coordinate with the fire department. We coordinate with even food vendors, so local community food trucks. We coordinate with the Northport Mustangs. They usually do the food at the event. Local business vendors. There's just a lot of different things that go into it. We have sponsors that obviously sponsor the event, and they're all big undertakings, but it's definitely something. I think the event last year had like 2,500 people. So it's definitely something our community has embraced. And, we've already gotten a few messages from people a month in advance asking if the rodeo is coming up. So it's definitely something people are going to miss, but, we'll continue it next year for sure.
And we'll be back, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It'll be a big event. And, we had some kind of new ideas for it this year, but we'll have to push them off the year. But it's just all of the city events, John, are fun.
Yep.
That's the thing about Northport. There's always something going on, whether it be the rodeo, whether it be our Halloween event that's big, whether it be a Christmas parade, even the community yard sales. Those are our regulars, art fairs, craft fairs. There's like Parks and Rec. They've got that's another thing I'll mention. Go follow the Parks and Rec Facebook page. They're constantly posting good events on there, family events that you can go to, dances, and there's just a lot going on that that is the one thing I would say Northport is like top notch on, is there's a bunch to do here in the city of Northport that people will enjoy.
And I always say that. I hear people say, well, it's Northport. There's nothing to do in Northport. It's because you're not looking for it. All you got to do is checking stuff out. There is something to do in this town every weekend. I kid you not. You just have to go find it and get attached to it. We've got an incredible art City of Northport art department or art section over there at Dallas White Park. They do a great job there. They have classes. You can learn to paint. You can get involved with Parks and Rec and become a volunteer. Like you said earlier, you can even volunteer to be a lifeguard at the pool. There's something for everyone to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Murray. I appreciate that. We've got about a minute left. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mike?
Just the same thing I'll close on. If you're listening and, you're looking for a job, a career that, you'd like to jump in on, there are several positions open right now with the city that you can apply online. And then a lot of our interviews right now are being done over Microsoft Teams, I will say. And it's just a great place to work. We've got anything from mechanic positions open to my current position open. If you want to come on here and talk to John in a couple months, apply for that. And anything from mechanic to communications to accounting to lifeguards. There's definitely something on there. So take a look. It's all on the city's website if you look for employment.
Fantastic. I also want to mention, I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I'm going to mention it again now. I've got Bert from Twisted Fork coming on this Friday. He's going to talk about the COVID and how he's adapted his business. Great place to go, great entertainment value. It's right next to Harley Davidson on 776 in Port Charlotte. I look forward to talking to Bert, and I really want to hear what he has to say because I've interviewed a lot of businesses inside of Northport and out that gave a lot of insight during COVID. They've been the hardest hit, I believe, and some other industries. But we've all kind of been blessed that we've forged ahead. I believe that the restaurants are forging ahead and they're doing the best they can. But I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say and also giving him some support from my point of view. And I don't give my point of view very often, but I look forward to Friday. I do. So
it's a great place. I've been there.
Yeah, it's a great place. So, Mike, I really appreciate your time. It's a great thing that you come on the show. I thank you so much for doing that, and congratulations on your new job. And I look forward to teaming up with you on the new person that hopefully can match up to what you've done.
Thank you, and thanks again for having us on. It's always good to talk about Public Works. 941-240-8050 if you need anything from Public Works.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You guys have a great day and be safe. I'll see you on Friday.